I'm Jasmine Al-Gamal, and this is The View from Here. Last Friday marked the 4-year anniversary of the return of the Taliban to power in Afghanistan. 24 years after they were toppled by the US-led invasion after the attacks of September 11th. I sat down with Shukria Barakzai, an Afghan journalist, former parliamentarian, former ambassador, and staunch women's rights activist, to talk to her about what this anniversary means for Afghans, particularly Afghanistan's women and girls, who have been erased in the last 4 years from public and professional life in what human rights organizations are calling a gender apartheid. Shukria Barakzai, welcome to The View from Here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
What does this moment mean to you?
It's not only me. It's remind me the sacrifice of millions of Afghans where shoulder to shoulder stand to build a brighter future. It's reminding me the great betrayed. It's remind me those dreams that it seems difficult to become true. It's remind me the day where, with the very hard work, the people of Afghanistan, Afghan women, plus international community, built a very difficult and different democracy in a region, which is Afghanistan was been surrounded all by dictator regimes, states, or something similar to military. So it's remind me the sacrifice of all nations. It reminds me the loss of 100,000 people, civilian and military. It's remind me a new beginning of a dark age again. It's remind me where I was. It was a trauma.
Tell me about that. You were, at that point, let's just say it's a fair description to say that the Taliban was not a fan of yours.
Of course not. No, neither the Taliban or those people that they have similar mentality as the Taliban.
And why is that?
In a male-dominated society, it's not easy for a woman to be a woman. In a society which is democracy is a dream to become true, being honest and loud, people cannot digest your thoughts. And in a country which is struggling to have a more backlash rather than step forward, there will be no space for women. I was very critical, not only about the Taliban, about the drug leaders, about the warlords. So it's when you love your nation, when you love your country, when you love your people, when you love your gender as a woman, or when you're a human rights and women's rights defender, so head to toes, you're just a piece of hate to the eyes of them.
You're a threat. I mean, you're a threat in a way because you weren't just any ordinary Afghan woman. I mean, you had done so much from the time that you were in your mid-20s.
Yes.
When the Taliban fell, 20 years later, when the Taliban came back. You've done a lot in those 20 years.
Oh, God. Let me take you before fall of Taliban.
Yes, please.
Because my journey started from 90s.
Yes.
In 1997. When me and my little daughter, I shaved her head to look like a little boy. She was 1.5 years old on her trolley. To visit a female doctor, I was not feeling well. On my way back to home, Taliban lashed me on the street. They whipped me. And I say what I did wrong because I had like a proper burqa. I had long nails with red nail polish, but it was covered. Thanks God they didn't see. And I say, why? I say, why you're without male members of your family? I was with a female doctor. I try to tell him every woman don't need to have someone, a male company, especially when they are going and visiting a female doctor. So
And this was in the 90s.
that was 90s, yeah. That was the first term of Taliban. They hit me more in front of, I don't know, a couple of hundred people. I was 25 years old. I'm well educated. And I never had experience someone was hitting me in front of my daughter and no one. You know, that guy, I don't know who was him. It was not only one. The first hit and then the second also came to. It was a very difficult moment, even still when I remember that. And when I stood up, of course, I was crying. I was wounded. It took at least 3 days for me to figure out what happened. It wasn't easy for me to accept something like that happened. On the fourth day, I just start. It's like a new person, a completely a new person, a risk taker. As someone that practically I went against the Taliban ideology. The first thing I asked my neighbors and all other educated women, let's start to do home school and home classes for the girls. So I start from that time with a very wounded body, but with a very clear mind. And I continued. Few times they came, they couldn't find me. They came to arrest me. But thanks to my neighbors, and I was also playing a lots of tricks with them, they couldn't find me. At the time, the TV was banned. So I bought like a type of wireless DVD player. And I let, because I was living in a flat, my neighbors also to watch what I was been watching. I remember I bought a very old computer, and I let the girls to play computer and to understand the basic. Since I was studying geophysics, I also teach physics and algebra. To the girls, and I'm glad they got the very highest number in the final exam entry to the university. We call it concours. So that's how I start. Yes, after 9/11, because I had a lot to say, I start Women's Mirror. That was the publication. Because I thought we are part of the society, and let that mirror that we should say, and they should see and read us. So the mirror to reflect the women's ideas and to amplify the voices. And very critical about war crimes, about what happened in the past, about civil war, about Taliban, and all those bad guys.
Were you never afraid when you were saying, I mean, you must have known the risks.
I do, but my fear gone when Taliban lashed me first. So it was not like for me to stand for my rights and being full of fear. No, fear gone. Even I received several death threats. There was a bomb attack on me. That was 2003.
An assassination attempt.
An assassination, car bomb. That was 2014. And lots more.
I heard a story that at that time, I think it was the car bomb, when you were told by paramedics to take off your jacket because you had burns on your body.
It was quite a miracle that I survived from that car bomb. Yeah, my hand, my body still have marks, but the trauma still is with me. And I was unconscious. When I opened my eyes, it was my hair, my face, my hands, my jacket, scarf, everything was on fire. And I remember when I was just trying to, and probably that was the last time with the full energy, because it was adrenaline was being released. I come out from the car, because after that I got a little bit knee problem and back problems. I lost my balance. Yeah, me and my driver, only two. But that was armored vehicle because of the life threat. I received a formal letter from our intelligence service in 2007. Since 2007, I was just trying to. I could afford an armored vehicle. It wasn't even a government.
So that saved your life, really?
That was saved my life, yes, for the sake of maybe my kids.
That was
my
2014.
country. That was 2014.
But you still didn't stop speaking up and speaking out against injustice, against the Taliban, for women's rights, for everything that you believe in. I think most people have no idea what kind of courage that takes or what it means to go through something like that and still keep going.
I hope no one will have such a kind of experience as I had. Sometimes it's not only courage. Some people call it madness. Because when you're out of your mind, you will take all the risks. But for me, it was, if I lost my life, if I die for those values that I choose, if my life was going to dedicate and save other lives, why not? Those things, justice, equality, are not words to be played. Mm-hmm. It's the values we should live with. It's part of our belief, our thought. It's what I have faith on it. It's what I have to fight for it. And that's why I will never give up, no matter how difficult will be the situation, no matter how life will challenge me, no matter how things will go in a wrong direction. I will stand because I'm thinking this is the right way. I cannot keep quiet and sit in a corner and just wait and watch. Someone else should fight for me. Mm-hmm. Someone else should be my voice. Or someone else will do that. No way. I had a time where I was been looking, someone should say something, you know. Even after fall of Kabul, I was been looking for other politicians to come out and say something. It seems no one is risk taker. Nobody likes to speak.
Well, people are comfortable, or people are scared, or maybe they just don't care enough. Maybe they think someone else should do it. But you actually, took the initiative. And so you were a journalist. You were a teacher. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you were also a parliamentarian. You also went into politics. Tell me about that.
Oh, yeah.
How and why, after all of that, you decide, you know what, I'm going to do one step more. Yeah. I'm going to go into politics.
It reminds me when I was a journalist, a delegation, a very powerful delegation representing the France president, came to my house and say, well, you're in a politics. And I say, no, I'm just a journalist. I'm just the editor. And he said, no, Madame Barakzai, because at that time I was only speaking fluent French. I studied one of the schools in Afghanistan, which is the foreign language was French. Say, no, you're already in a politics, okay? So, and that was like a little bit difficult for me because I never want to be a politician, to be honest. Rather than that, I love to be a journalist or a teacher, a professor, uni professor. That was the circumstances and situation. Especially when I was the member of Constitution Drafting Committee, because Constitution is mother of all laws. Mm-hmm. And that was the real fight start. And at that time, when we drafting the Constitution, I realized, I learned more about my country. I learned more about my public opinion. I realize which kind of state people want. Some people think democracy was too soon for Afghanistan. I completely disagree with them. The people of Afghanistan love democracy. They like to practice the power of vote. They like to have the freedom of expression, and they were looking for justice, equality, and balancing power.
You know, I always find that really, it's obviously condescending, but I just find it so incredibly annoying, insulting. I mean, all the words that you can think of. I've heard this myself as an Egyptian American. I've heard US officials, I've heard other officials talking about Egypt after the Arab Spring and, oh, Egyptians are not ready for democracy, or these people are not ready for democracy. Afghans are not ready for democracy. Iraqis are not ready for democracy. I mean, and I always thought, you know, who are you to go to these countries that have such rich histories and such rich traditions, democratic traditions too,
yeah.
To say, you know, and often the countries that are saying those countries are not ready for democracy are very young countries themselves.
Of course.
So
with
it's
a
a
very
little
young
bit
democracy.
with a very young
Sometimes
democracy.
you can see very unstable democracy, sometimes very immature democracy. Something is just the type of democracy they like for other countries rather their own states.
Yeah, and so I want to ask you about that. You know, you're in parliament, you're involved in the drafting of the constitution after the Taliban fell, and this starts an era of Western presence, Western intervention in Afghanistan for 20 years, essentially. Did you feel that you, in a sense, were being told what to do by these foreign forces as Afghans? But the reason I ask this is because I worked in government. I worked in the US government. I never worked on Afghanistan, but I worked on the Middle East. And one of the criticisms that I always had with the way US policy is made, Western policy really, it's not just a US thing, is that we tend to see it from a Western perspective. So this works in America, okay, let's go copy it in Afghanistan. Did you ever feel that sense of trying to mold this new Afghanistan in the image of the West, or was it more respectful and more give or take than that? What was your experience working in that period?
Let me tell you one thing. 2003 was not only time where women of Afghanistan was being engaged to draft a constitution. Actually, that engagement started from 1919.
1919.
Yes. More than a century ago, where 5 women was been involved. Afghanistan was a country which is once upon a time was empire. I don't want to go to that history, but democracy was not something new for us to practice it on a Western type. Because the word of democracy is the rule of public, where public ruling state.
Yeah.
All right? So this is, if you want to interpret it in a very unofficial and informal way. So it's like, what is the public demand? The citizens. During 70s, even we had a kingdom, but still it was a very democratic Afghanistan. Freedom of expression, equal rights for men and women. In fact, women in Afghanistan, they got the right to vote more than before than women in Switzerland and most of European countries.
And that's a very important point that you're making, actually, that yes, there's such a thing as democratic institutions, but there's also democratic values and things like freedom of speech and freedom of expression and freedom of movement. I mean, all of these things.
Including democratic institutions, including have a elected parliament, including have a very independent judiciary system, and including have a government which is the parliament has the right to impeach or dismiss them. Because democracy is it cannot be a cherry pick.
Yeah.
You can pick one part which is you like, it's on your favor, and left the other. No, It's a system, principle, that states and governments are built on. And those states, the real power is with the public, with the citizen. So that is the citizens are making this democracy. If you take out the citizen out of being a decision maker, there'd be no democracy. So Afghanistan had the experience of that one. But yes, there was a time because of lack of understanding and lack of policy for Afghanistan, because 9/11 happened. And US just come to Afghanistan and others standing with the solidarity with the United States. They came with different slogan. They say they will not repeat their same mistake. What was that mistake? They left Afghanistan after they create Mujahideens and when during civil war. Okay, so they didn't recognize the Mujahideen. They left because it was civil war, and then they say they will not repeat again the same mistake. They did. They promised martial law. It didn't happen. They promised to winning the hearts and minds of Afghan people. Nothing happened. Even they lost the trust we had. And of course, Afghan people didn't send an invitation letter to none of those foreign troops that they occupied Afghanistan. But for the first time, because we were been very frustrated from civil war, from a type of ideologies like a Taliban, which is foreign projects and ideology, and they come with the name of religion to be practiced in Afghanistan, and we were tired. We welcomed the people of Afghanistan for the first time, welcomed foreign troops inside of Afghanistan. If you see 2002, 2003, 2004, there was no war. Even those Taliban was not reforced themselves. All things start later on, after Iraq war, after US get busy with others. So again, the same project was going on and on and on and on till today.
So interesting that you say that. I mean, do you think it could have gone differently? Do you think that was always inevitable? That these countries who knew nothing about Afghanistan, who knew nothing about the Afghan people, Afghan culture, to come in and try to basically run the country, control the country, they're there for their own interests. The narrative was always changing too, right? First it was, we're going into Afghanistan to get Osama bin Laden. Then it was, well, it's about democracy. Then it was, well, no, it's about the women. That's why we're here.
Oh, no.
And no. But there was always a change in narrative of why you never really understood whether it was really real.
Well, what was the real one?
What was the reason? And were you actually helping the women, like you were saying? Because guess what? 20 years later, you left, and look at what's happening to the women now. So do you think this was always going to be a disaster, or do you think real mistakes were made along the way? Maybe including, I wonder also about your opinion about the Afghan governments.
Let me tell you from where the old mistakes start, from my opinion, from Bonn Agreement.
Okay.
Bonn Agreement bring back to power a three different group. One, a dead body of ex-Mujahideens, politically, that they destroyed Afghanistan more than anyone else, starting from 1991 till 1996. They also didn't play well as Afghan who fight against Soviet. Mm-hmm. They didn't let the people of Afghanistan to celebrate that victory because the civil war started. After that civil war, from 1996 to 2001, the Taliban. So in that 10 years, people was really frustrated. And we thought, okay, after 9/11, it was disaster, but it was a new page for Afghanistan. And we thought, okay, everybody learn from their mistakes, and that would be a new Afghanistan. Bonn Agreement bring back those people that destroyed the country. And then another group, which is we have our late king at that time, a small number of them, and some other people that from abroad, you know. When they came at that city, At the time, Kabul had just 500,000 population, but today it's more than 7 million population. And the strategies was been changed so dramatically. For instance, Democrat come with one strategy. Foreign policy is completely different than Republican. And then, for instance, European Union had different, and every single individual country, they have their own troops, they have their... So it's like from every single state lens and from every single political party, which is they were in power leading their states and government, Afghanistan was like a different country. So that's why there was a not collective strategy that they firmly could stand together. That's why they changed the slogan. That's why they changed why they are in Afghanistan. And at the end, I don't know. I feel sorry for those people, they serve Afghanistan with uniform, service people, military, because I don't know what their family will think for those whom they lost their family member, they are very dear one, because generally war is ugly. Yeah. And for those generals, for those soldiers, they were in Afghanistan and they fight against the Taliban. Although we also was not asking for US to stay forever. Yeah. There was an exit way with dignity.
Exactly. So they're in Afghanistan for so many years. All these problems that you just described, it honestly feels, even in hindsight, when you think about it, that it was set up to fail because of all these different things that you described. And then comes the exit. Now, it didn't really just happen in August of 2021, right? I mean, what was the road to that exit that was that happened so badly and left Afghans so completely alone?
Yeah, to be honest, there was a lots of things. Let me take you back. How possible in the history to see a powerful state such as United States of America is signing a contract or a declaration or agreement with the name of Doha on 29 February 2020 with the group of Taliban. They fight for 20 years. They spent $2 trillion to replace Taliban by Taliban back.
And then they made a deal with the Taliban. So that was Donald Trump. That was first term Donald Trump. He signed...
That was first time Donald Trump, when they let Taliban to have a political office in Qatar. So they thought they wouldn't go anymore through the channel of Pakistan. Maybe President Karzai play also kind of role. They let and accept and agreed Taliban should have a political office in Qatar.
Yeah. So let's just unpack this for a minute, because this is where states have to make a choice between dealing with a non-state actor, ignoring it, fighting it, or dealing with it.
But they did
and you see
3 in 1.
You did 3 in 1.
Yeah.
How so?
They give them a legitimacy by giving them name, title, political office in Doha.
So you have an office in Doha now.
Exactly.
You're the Taliban, who we've been fighting for years.
At the meantime, they were fighting with them.
You're fighting them in Afghanistan. You give them an office in Doha, and you're negotiating with them in Doha.
So this is like a 3 in 1. And that's why it didn't work.
And then the negotiation part, at least from...
That started very late. The Doha office talks start 2009. And they got the office in 2011. From 2011 till 2020, there was another 9 years of gap. Yeah. And during that time, they were fighting with them, but their office and their flag was been wrapping in Doha. How come?
Because I remember they were also negotiating with them over U.S. soldiers that had been kidnapped in Afghanistan.
Yeah. When you give a legitimacy to a group which is you named terrorist organization or terrorist group, how you can give them the authority to be your partner and negotiate and sign an agreement with them, and sidelining the people of Afghanistan, the women of Afghanistan, and a legitimate state of Afghanistan, plus You also sign bilateral security agreement between the United States and Afghanistan.
We could talk about this for hours because it's so complex. And again, even when you look back at it in hindsight, it still doesn't make sense that you were legitimizing this group called the Taliban.
Exactly.
And
also you're fighting.
And also that you're also fighting them, but you're also dealing with the Afghan government, supposedly
Betraying.
Legitimate Afghan government. But you're also betraying them by speaking to their enemies. You're making a big mess out of everything. And then President Biden comes in.
Yeah.
And then in 2021, he leaves.
Why? I'm not saying if they were frustrated, yes, they could say, bye-bye. You know your country. It's your responsibility, your duty. Why they bring Taliban back? Why they sign agreement with the Taliban? Why they ask permission to leave Afghanistan and to be aggrieved from the Taliban? Why? That's my question. 20 years, it was not only U.S. soldier. It was not only NATO member states. It was also more than 100,000 Afghans, women and men, including civilians. The number of civilian casualty is way more higher because the civilian was been killed from both sides. So who paid the price? At the end, we, the Afghan, pay the price. So that's why if they like to leave Afghanistan the way they came without any invitation, they could leave it without any permission. They don't need to bring back the Taliban. Why they force to release 5,000 Taliban from prisons? Why they accept the deal that, okay, let the Taliban to control some districts, not the cities, and later on the cities. These kind of very dirty deal happened there.
But why? I mean, that's what I'm trying to understand. So President Biden wants to leave. There's a timeline that was signed by President Trump in his first term. Again, like you said, involving the Taliban, legitimizing the Taliban. Where was the government in all of this? Where was Ashraf Ghani in all of this? He left, when Western forces left, 15th of August, he got on a plane and left.
No, at that time when he left, still foreign troops was in Afghanistan.
So he didn't even wait for the
evacuation process went for another 2 weeks.
But he was already gone.
He already gone.
No.
But allow me to say, Ashraf Ghani, the second term he ran, that was a big mistake. Afghanistan was not ready for another election. That was a time that they should go and address the people and seek for a very peaceful transaction time.
Explain that a little bit. I don't understand quite.
Maybe one a non-political interim government, which is under supervision
like a technocratic government or something,
under supervision of let's say United Nations, which is to involve all parties. All right, and election. We had already the constitution, and to that election, who will be the winner? They will lead the country.
That's what you would have preferred to happen.
Of
this
course.
is what year are we talking here?
I'm talking 2018.
2019.
2019. All right?
Instead, there were...
Instead of the collapse, the chaos we are witnessing today. So Taliban are not... They are... Maybe some people count as a number, but they're ideology. And that type of radical ideology is destroying. They are not building.
Okay, so 2019, these elections happen. Ashraf Ghani becomes president. And again, we could have a whole other episode about Afghan leadership and the mistakes they made and all of that stuff. But, suffice it to say that now, we have all these different actors involved. We have the Afghan leadership, we have the Taliban, we have the Western presence, we have the military.
And region.
We have, exactly, I was just about to say that because we haven't even brought in Pakistan and Iran. And it's, in a way, it reminds me of countries where so many different actors are involved. Everyone wants a piece because it advances their interests. And so Afghanistan is one of those countries where you had Pakistan and its interests and Iran and its interests and the US, and it's all happening.
And Russia and China.
Russia and China, of course, and the history with the Soviet Union. And in the middle of all of this, you have Afghans who are being targeted by all sides, who have been refugees for decades, spilling over the borders in different countries. You have them fighting alongside these forces for their own country, putting themselves and their families at risk for years. And still to this day. And then the West leaves Afghanistan in 2021. What happened to all those Afghans who were helping?
Left behind.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Their life is
Tell
at
me a
risk.
little bit about that.
It's not only Taliban. Well, technically they called like a general pardon, like okay, they will not go after anyone that they fight against them, but practically this is not the case.
Mm-hmm.
They have access to all biometrics, which is just with the one fingerprint they can find who is whom, those whom they work with the government on which position, and lots of information was being leaked, unfortunately.
Right.
Which is, it's also put thousands of lives in danger, those whom they work with foreign troops, because number one enemy for them is the foreign troops, not foreign troops themselves, but those Afghan that they work with foreign troops.
So for people who don't know, and because we're in the UK, of course, we'll talk about this, but this is, you know, the UK had several schemes, several programs to help Afghans come in who had worked with the UK. And in February 2022, a list of over 18,000 names, a list of Afghans who had worked with the UK, with Western forces, their family members, details, where they lived, what their families' names were, all of that stuff. That list was leaked. That's the leak that you're referring to. And all of a sudden, the Taliban has access to this information.
Yeah.
Now,
and they were after them. They killed more than, we don't have even yet the exact number, but more than 20. Could be more.
It could be
more.
It
could be 2,000. It could be 200. It could be more and more and more.
Now, the UK government, when this first came out, in mid-2023, the previous Conservative government was made aware of this leak. Initially, there was something called a super injunction, which means that they don't have to talk about it, and the press isn't allowed to even mention that they know something about it. Anyway, then they try to remedy the situation where they create another scheme to bring Afghans who have been named
even
in this leaked.
Even not all of them. Even not all those names was been leaked.
Right.
Not all. If you compare the list with the number that UK did evacuate or give them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's important. The UK government, once it accepted responsibility, once this all came out, there was another scheme to try to get some of those people who were on that list to the UK. So far, some of them have come, a few thousand, and some of them haven't. Some of them won't be able to. Mm-hmm. What happens to those people who are not going to be able to leave Afghanistan, who have worked with foreign forces? Who is going to look out for these people? Do you know, have you been talking to people here or in Western governments about that?
Even 2021, I had a testimony in the parliament when I was been evacuated from Afghanistan. Even at that time, that was the case, like who left behind, and especially those whom they work under flag of United Kingdom, with their soldiers, with their military, and their life is at risk inside of Afghanistan. They couldn't manage it properly because their life is in danger, 100% danger.
And not just them, their families too, I imagine.
Their families, their relatives, even those whom they give them shelter. So their life is not safe. This is clear. UK government, they understand that. But I'm also surprised because they are engaged with the Taliban. Why they never ask for the sake of safety of those Afghans, at least in a very human way, the second term of evacuation to be happen. You can't believe those people must go. They can't apply for a passport because all the data is there. Taliban have access to the data. The minute they see someone was working here or there, because when all the data is there, they will arrest and they will kill. So they ask them to go and move to Pakistan, and then they start the process from Pakistan to UK. Getting visa for Pakistan is another chaos. Having a passport is another issue. But even simply, you're engaged with them. You are giving them money. Sometimes it makes me very unhappy to see the life of others or just a number is not important. They're human. So a child must be killed because his father worked with British force? Is that justice? Is that dignity? Is that European value? No. Is that what they've been promised? No way. They should find a way to save their life inside of Afghanistan, outside of Afghanistan, or in the United Kingdom. With the women of Afghanistan, we are paying the highest price more than anyone else.
I was going to say, I mean, the women of Afghanistan too.
They're the number one victim. Imagine for a second to be punished because what is your sex or gender, because you're female, because you're a girl, because you're women. You can't go to school. You can't work. You're not counting as a human being. It's like you are not existing. Why? Why? It's 21st century. Why? So that's why it's make me more sad to see and to remember all those lip services. Why I can't go to my country? Because I trust and I stand with Western countries to build my country, to build democracy, to work for women's rights. And today, nobody's speaking about women's rights or human rights. Those values seems to be gone. It's going to be removed and vanish from all the political agendas.
I mean, it seems like people don't really talk about Afghanistan much anymore at all. So the UN is about to recognize Afghanistan as a gender apartheid.
It's been promised, but we don't know how long it would take, yeah.
You tell me if you're a woman in Afghanistan today.
You're not counting as a human.
What does your life look like?
Oh, you're not counting as a human being. You're not existing. Your existence is under question. You have no rights. Forget about going outside or being educated or working. Okay?
That's off. That's off the table.
That's off the table. Already.
It's
been off the table already. Even a TV presenter must come with a niqab, like all her face must be covered, only 2 eyes should be shown. A TV presenter, all right? Some provinces, even the TV shouldn't have any human picture. But even you're not allowed to laugh loud or speak loud inside of your house. You're not allowed to stand on your balcony or standing on your window and seeing outside. You're not allowed to go to the park, public park, gym, nowhere. Can you believe?
You can't see a doctor.
No.
And you can't be a doctor.
You cannot be a doctor.
So what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do?
They don't care. They don't care. They don't care.
So
this is unbelievable. You know, when I'm talking, when I'm thinking, because I have been through all those things, I was been under their regime on the first time and the second time for a couple of days. But it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like, you are not existing, despite of you're not existing, all those band-aids on you. And still, I should wait for that type of apartheid to be recognized in the name of gender apartheid.
And then, of course, once you recognize it, what happens after that, right? I mean, you recognize it, and
that'll be. Despite of Afghanistan already signed a CEDAW. We are a member of CEDAW Convention. We are a member of Human Rights Declaration. So we signed that. So being signing all these international treaties, and Taliban yet no one hold them accountable. And still we have to fight that, hey, guys, Taliban are not recognizing me as a human being, at least you, according to Human Rights Declaration, according to CEDAW Convention, according to 1325 resolution. So please count me as a human being in this earth. I'm also a citizen. Every word, listen to me. It's very difficult. You can't believe in the past 4 years how difficult life was for us, how much women was being raped and tortured in Taliban prisons, how women are suffering in Iran, in Pakistan, how journalists, judges, human rights activists, our former military personnel, female military personnel, are suffering, teachers, doctors, engineers. You can't believe they try their best. They stand against everyone to be someone. And today they are no one.
And they can't leave.
They can't, no.
And they shouldn't have to. And they shouldn't have to.
All the doors are shut. No one is trying to understand. It's so difficult for them to process, to apply for a visa. Even those whom they work with German. I have a lady, the entire family was working with Germans still. She's on a waiting list, and we don't know when. And they're waiting, okay, when the Taliban will come. Because they are trying to, it's like hide and seek.
Again, I don't think many of us can imagine what that feels like. And I know it's not easy to describe it and it's not easy to talk about it, but it is so important that you're sharing these stories. And I always ask my guests what message they have for policymakers. What would you say?
To be responsible for their decisions. It's time that we should keep every policymakers to do not make any policy against human lives, to do not sideline humans, women's, and those values that they called so far democracy. Democracy is not a product. It's a process for every country. And we would like them to listen to us, to the people of Afghanistan, to the women of Afghanistan. And I hope time will come and they will ask the pardon and they will fix what they broke, what they left. It's time for them to try to regain back their prestige.
I absolutely agree, and I hope that happens. And I thank you so much for sitting down with me. You are a true role model, and I'm very humbled and very grateful that you came down and had a chat with us. Thank you so much, Shukria.
Thank you for your understanding to talk about the dark side of violence, terrorism, extremism in Afghanistan.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation. If you'd like to support us in getting more of these conversations out there, please don't forget to follow us wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave a review or a comment to let us know what you're thinking. And of course, you can always email us at jasmine@viewfromherepod.com. That's jasmine@viewfromherepod.com. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. I'm Jasmine El Gamal, and this is The View From Here.